Good afternoon, everyone. We will now start the Tourism Resilience Symposium 2026. My name is Koki from the International Affairs Divisions of the Japan Tourism Agency, and I will be serving as moderator for today's proceedings. In this fiscal year, in accordance with the first pillar of the Sendai Statement adopted at the 2024 Tourism Resilience Summit, we convened the Tourism Resilience Working Level meetings. At this symposium, the Japan Tourism Agency will present the Tourism Resilience Guidelines and Good Practices Part 1, developed as outcomes of the meetings. In addition, the program includes a panel discussion featuring government representatives from Indonesia and South Korea, as well as a presentation by the UN Tourism Regional Office for Asia and the Pacific on its initiatives related to tourism resilience. To begin, Mr. Takeshi Nakano, Vice Commissioner of the Japan Tourism Agency, will deliver the opening remarks. Mr. Nakano, please come up to the stage.
Good afternoon. First of all, I'd like to extend my sincere gratitude to everyone who has gathered here today for this Tourism Resilience Symposium, as well as to those who are joining us online. In recent years, the tourism sector has faced increasing uncertainty arising from the growing frequency and severity of natural disasters and from heightened geopolitical risks. At the same time, tourism continues to serve as a vital engine for social and economic development. Strengthening tourism resilience, the ability to minimize the impacts of crises and to ensure swift recovery, has therefore become a shared global priority. In 2024, working in collaboration with UN Tourism, Japan hosted the first ever ministerial meeting on tourism resilience within the Asia-Pacific framework, resulting in the adoption of the Sendai Statement. Furthermore, beginning in 2025, we convened working-level meetings to promote the sharing of initiatives and knowledge among countries aimed at minimizing the impacts of crises and disasters based on the Sendai Statement. The outcomes of these discussions have now been consolidated into a set of guidelines. Today's symposium will introduce these guidelines and feature keynote speeches delivered by UN Tourism and the UN Tourism Regional Office for Asia and the Pacific. In addition, we are honored to welcome tourism officials from the governments of the Republic of Korea and Indonesia, who will join us for a panel discussion on strengthening collaboration within government and between the public and private sectors. I'd like to conclude my opening address by expressing my sincere hope that today's symposium will serve as a meaningful opportunity for everyone engaged in advancing tourism resilience. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nakano. Next, we are pleased to present opening remarks from Mr. Hwang, Director of the UN Tourism Regional Department for Asia and the Pacific, delivered via video message. Please turn your attention to the screen at the front.
Distinguished guests, esteemed colleague and friend, good afternoon. On behalf of UN Tourism, it is my great pleasure to welcome you all to this symposium on tourism resilient initiative, achievement, and future directions. At the outset, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to the Japan Tourism Agency for hosting this symposium and for its continued leadership in advancing the tourism resilient agenda in the Asia and Pacific region. And I would also like to thank all the participants from Japan and across Asia and Pacific for taking the time to join this discussion. And tourism is one of the world's most dynamic sectors, connecting people, culture, and economy. However, it can be significantly affected by crisis and disaster, including natural hazard. So strengthening resilience is therefore essential for the sustainable development of each and every destination and well-being of local community. And Japan has long recognized the importance of tourism resilience and has worked with the international partners to promote knowledge sharing and preparedness and risk reduction approaches. The Sendai Joint Statement on Tourism Resilience shared in November 2024 provides an important framework for international cooperation. In particular, the Pillar 1, the preventing and minimizing the impact of natural hazards, emphasizes preparedness and coordinated action across tourism ecosystem. So today's symposium offers an opportunity to reflect on the progress made since the Sendai Statement and to introduce new guidelines for strengthening tourism resilience. And I trust my colleague Dirk Glaser, the Director of Sustainable Tourism and Resilience at UN Tourism, will share the perspective on the advancing tourism resilience and strengthening preparedness across destinations. And I hope today's discussion will encourage further collaboration among government, international organizations, industry, stakeholders, and the local communities. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hwang. And we will now proceed to the keynote address. We are honored to have a keynote presentation by Mr. Doug Glaser, Director of the Sustainable Tourism and Resilience at UN Tourism, on the importance of resilience and global initiatives, as well as sustainable tourism. Due to scheduling constraints, today's presentation will be delivered via video. Please direct your attention to the screen again.
Excellencies, distinguished representatives, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great pleasure to join you today at this symposium on tourism strategies to safeguard the future of regions through tourism resilience and sustainable tourism. I would like to thank the Japan Tourism Agency for convening this timely discussion in collaboration with us, UN Tourism. This symposium comes at an important moment. Across the Asia-Pacific region and beyond, tourism continues to be a major source of jobs, income and opportunity. At the same time, tourism is increasingly exposed to disruption from natural hazards, climate-related events, economic shocks and other crises. Resilience and sustainability are no longer parallel discussions. They must be understood and advanced together. Tourism resilience is sometimes understood only as the ability to recover after shocks. But recovery is of course important, while resilience means more than returning to business as usual. It is the ability to anticipate risks, absorb impacts, adapt to change and continue to function and create value under difficult conditions. In tourism, this means preparing destinations, communities, institutions and businesses not only to withstand disruption, but also to learn, transform and emerge stronger. This understanding is strongly reflected in the backgrounds and objectives of today's symposium. This is precisely why resilience and sustainable tourism belong together. A tourism sector that depends on fragile ecosystems while failing to protect them is not resilient. A destination that grows economically while excluding communities, overburdening local infrastructure, is not resilient. A tourism economy that is overly depending on a narrow set of markets, products or seasons is not resilient either. Sustainability provides the foundations that make resilience possible. Sound environmental management, stronger local value creation, social inclusion, community trust, better governance and long-term planning. So when we speak about tourism resilience, we are not speaking only about crisis response. We're speaking about a model of tourism development that it is better prepared, better balanced and better aligned with the realities of our time. This is particularly relevant for the Asia-Pacific region. As highlighted in the concept note, this region is highly exposed to natural hazards and other disruptions. And at the same time, tourism plays an especially important role in many economies across the region. That combination makes the discussion urgent and very relevant. The more important tourism is for livelihoods and regional development, the more important it becomes to ensure that the sector can absorb shocks, continue to support communities in times of uncertainty. In this regard, Japan has played an important leadership role. Thank you. Japan's experience in facing and overcoming natural disasters has given it particular credibility in promoting tourism resilience as a strategic priority. The first Asia-Pacific Ministerial Meeting on Tourism Resilience held in 2024 in collaboration with us, UN Tourism, and the adoption of the Sendai Statement marked an important milestone. The continued working level meetings since then have helped move this agenda from recognition to practical exchange, shared learning, and concrete follow-up. The Sendai Statement is important because it provides a practical and policy-relevant way of framing action. Its first pillar focuses on preventing and minimizing the impacts of crises and disasters caused by natural hazards. This directs attention to preparedness, risk reduction, planning, early action, institutional coordination, and the strengthening of systems before disruption occurs. It reminds us that resilience begins long before a crisis becomes visible. It begins in the way destinations are planned, governed, and managed. Its second pillar focuses on absorbing impacts and recovering through adaptation and transformation. This is equally important. Recovery should not simply restore previous vulnerabilities. It should help destinations rebuild in ways that are more diversified, more sustainable, and more inclusive. Tourism can and should contribute to regional revitalization, not only by restarting visitor flows, but by supporting renewed local confidence, new tourism products, stronger placed identities, and clearer long-term vision for development. This is where international initiatives matter. International initiatives help create common language, shared priorities, and political visibility. They allow countries and destinations to learn from each other, compare approaches, and raise ambition. They also help position tourism within wider policy discussions on sustainable development, climate action, disaster risk reduction, and community resilience. Here at UN Tourism, we see this international dimension as essential. Tourism is global in its flows, its markets, and its vulnerabilities. But resilience is built locally, in destinations and communities. International cooperation helps bridge that gap. It enables local experience to inform global priorities and global frameworks to support local action. This is also why the road towards the International Year of Sustainable and Resilient Tourism in 2027 is so important. The International Year 2027 offers a unique opportunity to strengthen awareness, mobilize stakeholders, and promote practical action around a shared global agenda. It can help ensure that tourism is not treated as a secondary or isolated policy field, but as a contributor to economic resilience, social inclusion, environmental stewardship, and regional development. But an international year should not be only seen as a communications exercise. Its real value lies in what helps countries, destinations, and institutions do differently. It should support stronger governance, clearer priorities, more evidence-based policy, and more effective cooperation across levels and sectors. It should encourage investment in preparedness, in sustainable destination management, in resilient local economies, and in the capacity of tourism stakeholders to deal with uncertainty. In practical terms, resilient and sustainable tourism requires several things. It requires better integration of tourism into disaster risk reduction and crisis preparedness frameworks. It requires stronger public-private coordination so that institutions, business and communities can act quickly and coherently when disruptions occur. It requires investment in data, monitoring and risk-informed planning. It requires support for local enterprises and workers who are often the first to feel the impact of shocks. And it requires a long-term commitment to protecting environmental and cultural assets, because these are not external to tourism. They are part of its core foundation. And above all, it requires us to see tourism not only as an industry of movement and consumption, but as a system of relationships between people, places, livelihoods and ecosystems. Ladies and gentlemen, the future of tourism will depend not simply on how much the sector grows, but on how well it is prepared for uncertainty and how responsibly it develops. Resilience is therefore not an additional layer to be considered after growth. It is a condition for lasting growth. Sustainability is not a secondary aspiration. It's the pathway through which tourism can remain viable, competitive, and beneficial in the long term. And international initiatives are not symbolic gestures. When grounded in real cooperation and follow-up, they help turn shared concern into shared action. Today's symposium is therefore important, not only for the issues it addresses, but for the signal it sends. Tourism, resilience, and sustainable tourism are essential to safeguard the future of regions and communities. UN Tourism remains committed to working with Japan, with the member states across Asia and the Pacific, and with all partners to advance this agenda in a practical and inclusive manner. Let us use this moment to deepen cooperation, strengthen preparedness, and ensure that tourism continues to support communities, not only in times of stability, but also in times of disruption and change. Thank you very much for your attention. Have a good day.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gresser.